Is the export so depressed now? The terminal at Pudong Airport is sparsely populated. Apart from Rishang, not many shops are open. Foreigners waiting for flights are lying flat here. China's economy has been in a rapid decline, and large shopping malls have experienced a massive wave of closures, including Beijing shopping malls. Companies across the country are facing waves of layoffs, and people's incomes are continuing to decline. Beijing drifters, those who work hard in Beijing but without the capital city's household registrations, are full of confusion about the future. Some live a very simple life, while others simply return to small towns, their hometowns, directly from Beijing. Chinese travel and transportation costs have dropped significantly. At the same time, the number of passengers traveling to China for tourism or business has also dropped significantly, resulting in a decrease in passenger capacity on international flights of major airlines. Multiple videos online show that large airports, including Shanghai Hongqiao Airport, Shanghai Pudong Airport, and Beijing Capital Airport, only have a few passengers, and the terminals inside and outside look empty, like a ghost town. Some netizens lamented, "Where have the 1.4 billion Chinese gone?" Let's talk about related topics today. But before we do, we would like to invite you to subscribe. Your support is our greatest motivation and allows us to bring you more valuable content. Now, moving on.
这是浦东国际机场。
This is Shanghai Pudong International Airport, April 29th, the first day of the May Day holiday. In the past, what you could see was almost only people, and you couldn't see the ground. Now look at this scene. Isn't it a bit scary? Look at it. Something is wrong. Aren't there just 3 of us here? Let's take a look at the duty-free shop at the capital airport. There are really fewer people departing from Terminal 3 now. The duty-free shop for departures is deserted, with few people and only staff. It's far worse than before. Moreover, many duty-free shops are closed. This row of shops is basically closed. It's totally not the same as before. I don't know what happened.
Shanghai Pudong 机场这边都没有人啊。
There was no one here at Shanghai Pudong Airport. I don't know what it was like before. Does anyone know? I'm going to Thailand. Not many people go there. Let me show you, there are only people there so far away. I estimate that there are about 20 to 30 people. It said online that there are many Koreans in Shanghai, but I haven't seen much. Maybe Shanghai is too big. China's aviation industry continues to be sluggish, with the 3 major state-owned airlines having suffered losses for 5 consecutive years. On the evening of April 29th, Air Canada, China Eastern Airlines, and China Southern Airlines released their first quarter performance reports, showing that the 3 state-owned airlines are still in serious loss. Brothers, the economy this year is really not that good. There are few people at the airport, it's empty, so this time I went to Tokyo, Japan to see the situation there. It looks very deserted and empty. Alright friends, see you in Tokyo. A traveler came to Huangshan, a famous tourist city in China. At the city's international airport during the Chinese New Year, he found it strange that there was no one in the terminal at 2 p.m. There is no one in the entire airport. It's so horrible. This is the most desolate airport I have ever seen. There is no one. The staff all laughed. There was no one, not a soul in sight. Am I the ghost in this place? This is an international airport. There is no one here. There is no one at Huangshan Tunxi International Airport. One internet celebrity recently pointed out in her personal YouTube channel that China's two first-tier cities have just released economic data for the first quarter of this year. The results show that consumption in China's richest and most consumption-capable megacities, Shanghai and Beijing, actually declined in the first quarter. If consumption in Beijing and Shanghai cannot be increased, it's impossible for other second and third-tier cities, county towns, and rural areas to have higher consumption capacity.
最著名的王府井大厦。
The most famous Wang Fujing building, my God, there was no one in any direction.
这人都哪儿去了？
Where has the traffic gone? Even Wang Fujing is deserted.
连王府井都没人了。
This is the most upscale Wangfu Central shopping mall in the core area of Wangfu Jing. It has been open for just over 6 years. Now it's the eve of the Qingming festival. It's a little after 6 o'clock in the evening. You can see that it's empty in all directions and there is no popularity. Come, let's look at it from another angle. Each of the 4 floors above ground are deserted. Perhaps only those big-name luxury stores that don't have to pay rent can bear this. It's dinner time now and even the dining area is empty. There's no need to queue, probably because the restaurant is so upscale. Not far from here is Wangfujing Oriental Plaza, which Li Xing opened. It's slightly more popular, but not by much. It's already the holiday season, so how quiet would it be during normal times? Moreover, a large number of people who are in a hurry here are going underground to take the subway and have no need to shop. After seeing this, do you think Wangfujing has declined, or do people simply stop going out shopping? Wrong. When you walk outside, you will find that Wangfujing pedestrian street is still bustling with people, including men, women, young and old, locals and tourists. It's just that everyone prefers to enjoy the scenery, take pictures and patronize roadside stalls outside, and have lost interest in shopping in large shopping malls. Is this a direct reflection of consumption downgrade? In Wangfujing, where rents are the highest and big brands abound, the consumption downgrade can be seen clearly. This shows how far-reaching and irreversible this trend is. What do you think?
大家好，我是空间研究者瑞姐。
Hello everyone, I'm Sister Ray. I went to Beijing, West Grand Joy City at around 8 o'clock on Tuesday evening. As soon as I walked in, I found very few people inside. Grand Joy City is located in the core area of Shijingshan, next to the subway entrance, but it's so deserted that it really surprised me. The basic conditions here are not bad. There is a saying in Beijing that the East is rich and the West is noble. Chaoyang and Dongcheng in the East are home to foreign companies and creative cultural industries, which are the most commercially developed areas in Beijing. The west of Beijing is where all the major ministries and military-related agencies are located. Backed by the western hills, it has no traffic jams, a good living atmosphere, and even better air quality than in the East. Grand Joy City fills the gap of large-scale comprehensive commercial complexes in Beijing West, but a closer look reveals that some big brands are still lacking. Apart from Muji, there are many retail brands that cannot be named, there are no fashion brands to support the scene, and the catering industry does not have many highlights. Nearly a quarter of the stores have closed. The frequency of store updates cannot keep up. There are fewer and fewer stores to visit, and it's naturally more challenging to retain customers.
自然就更难留客了。
On social media platforms, many people posted videos lamenting that it's difficult to save money when living in Beijing.
如果你还没有来北京
If you haven't come to Beijing yet, I would advise you not to come. My name is Ai Yuan. I am 37 years old and I have been in Beijing for 7 years. If it weren't for the need to pay off my debts, I would have left the city with no happiness long ago. Actually, you can't make much money by working in Beijing, and the salary in Beijing is really not as high as we assume. Most of them are $1,100. After deducting food, clothing, housing, and transportation, you can only have $280 left each month. Instead of staying here, it would be better to go back to your hometown, find a job easily, and stay with your parents and friends. This way, life might be easier and happier. Beijing is a very competitive city. Almost everyone earns $1,100 a month for a workload equal to $3,000 and is often exploited by their bosses. If you don't want to do it, there are plenty of people who will do it, because there are many people in Beijing who can't find jobs now. I spent $400 to live in a small room of less than 10 square meters in Beijing, and I even have to count the seconds to go to the toilet. A bowl of spicy hot pot costs $5. If you want to rent a place in better condition, you have to accept a commute of nearly 2 hours one way daily. Such a Beijing, do you still want it?
你还想来吗？
The blogger is 31 years old and graduated from junior high school. She said she has been working hard in Beijing for 10 years. I moved to Beijing. My first year's salary was $200. I lived in a dormitory with 12 people in one room. Men and women shared a bathroom. The rent was $30. I couldn't bear to buy a few sets of clothes in a year. No matter how careful I spent, I couldn't save any money. After buying the ticket to go home for the new year, I only had $120 left in my pocket. In the second year, I moved to a new store, and since I didn't have any stable customers, I went out to distribute flyers to find customers. For us who have no education, we can only do hard labor. Gradually, my salary became stable and I could get $1,000. Every time I got paid, I would deposit $280 into a card. I have been a Beijing drifter for so many years and I have never been lazy and fond of play. I go to bed after 1 o'clock almost every day. I have devoted my youth to work, and whenever I have free time, I think about how to make more money. It's not that I love money so much, but I know clearly that no matter how big someone else's roof is, it's not as good as having your own umbrella. This blogger, originally an actor, later switched careers and works as a host on an online platform because there are no roles to play. How much money has the post-90s generation saved after living in Beijing for 7 years? I have been in Beijing for 7 years since I graduated from the Film Academy. When I first came to Beijing, I had only $550 in my hand and I lived in a small bungalow worth $120. After paying the rent, I had $400 left. At that time, I went to various major film crews for interviews and submitted my resume every day. I submitted 50 resumes in 20 days, but was not accepted for any interview. I only had $50 left, and the rent had to be paid soon. I hadn't earned a penny. I felt really desperate at the time. Life was not as good as I had imagined in university. Just when I was at a loss, I got my first role in a play in Beijing, playing the brother of the leading actress, which relieved my urgent needs. Later, I got some roles and saved some money. Until the outbreak of the 2019 epidemic, I rarely received any acting jobs, and The Wind Rises in Luoyang was the last acting job I received. There were no more TV dramas to shoot, and I had spent almost all the money I had saved in 1 year. Later, my father left us because of the epidemic, and I became the only pillar of the family. So I couldn't sit there and wait for death anymore, so I chose to change my career and become a live streamer. I worked during the day, shot short videos at night, and worked part-time on weekends. I did 3 jobs at the same time. 3 years later, I paid off my debts and had a 6-figure savings, but I am further and further away from my dream. Have you ever lived on the 3rd floor below ground level in a basement? Hello everyone, I'm Dong, a delivery boy born in the 1990s who has no money, no house, and no car and lives in Beijing. I have been in Beijing for 7 years. The first thing I did when I arrived in Beijing was to find a place to live. I can't remember how many times I moved, but I was exhausted every time. Live on the 3rd floor underground, living with the car every day. There is an underground garage next to that room. It's not so bad in the winter as it's neither too cold nor too hot inside. It's too hot in the summer. When it was the hottest, we put 2 fans inside to blow the air, and I still sweated like that for about a year. If I lived there any longer, my health would collapse. It's very difficult to find a suitable living space in Beijing. The price of the place with a good location is high, and the location of a cheap one is not good, so moving is commonplace. Why is it so difficult to survive in Beijing? I want to find a bigger place, rent a studio or something, but I have no money. I said I worked overtime for an hour yesterday, but today I just worked almost till 10 p.m. What makes me even more devastated is that I asked my roommates today, and they both said they would not renew their lease this year. It really is like the sky is falling. I have lived in my current apartment for almost 3 years, so you can imagine how much stuff I have. When I think about moving, finding a new apartment, and finding roommates, I feel overwhelmed.
我在北京租了一个3平米小屋，
I rented a small apartment of 3 square meters in Beijing because the rent was very cheap. Many people say that this small room is not habitable, but how many Beijing drifters who come to Beijing from ordinary families have not rented a room in a basement? Apart from rent, I try to save on unnecessary expenses and only spend a few tens of dollars on living expenses. Life is not easy, and only when you become the head of the household do you realize how expensive food and fuel are. Can children from poor families come to Beijing and work hard to earn a normal life for their families? I believe I can. Come on.
我相信我可以，加油！
劝大家真的要少
I advise everyone to read less of the toxic chicken soup articles on the internet. It's really deceptive. Take me, for example. I have worked hard in Beijing for 8 years. Here, I would like to talk to you about my personal experience. The first sentence is, the more frugal a person is, the more stingy he is. I think it's not shameful to save money. It's embarrassing to have no money, and it's really shameful to pretend to be rich when you have no money. Whose money isn't saved bit by bit? When you earn less money, don't you have to save some money? And shouldn't you spend less on yourself? The second sentence, money is earned, not saved, is completely correct nonsense. Of course, money is earned, but when there is no money to be earned, it's saved. Don't compare yourself with others, whether it's eating, dressing, or being carefree. Can the situations be the same? We have to consider our actual situation and our ability to make money, and our desires and abilities must match.
欲望和能力得匹配呀。
Beijingers can hardly survive in Beijing. Let me tell you, it may be hard for friends from other provinces to believe that most Beijing families are ordinary and common. Perhaps many Beijingers are still struggling to make ends meet. If people from Beijing go looking for jobs, they may not even be able to find one because many companies don't want people from Beijing at all. If the leader of this company happens to be from Beijing, he may be willing to give Beijingers some opportunities. But as long as the leader is not from Beijing, an additional condition for most interviews is that they do not want Beijingers. You want to ask him why? The leader tells you this because you Beijingers are lazy. You have a house and a land, but you don't have the spirit of hard work, and your parents have a pension, so you don't need to work at all. The jobs we have here are only suitable for Beijing drifters who have come to Beijing, live in rental apartments, and need to make a living. They are willing to work overtime and endure hardships. In Beijing, as for the companies that do not hire Beijingers, they are indeed quite a lot.
这样的公司真的一点儿都不少。
That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.